Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. This is Janie, Charlot, and Russell Bruce.
Hello, everybody out there.
All right, guys, so we have a really good episode ready for you guys. Today, we are talking about relationships and sacred energy exchange, all right, better known as sex to a lot of people, but we want to go a little bit deeper. We want to talk about spirituality and the esoteric side of this, all right? So, this particular podcast was inspired by a post that Russell posted maybe a day or two ago, and the reactions were a little bit all over the place. So we were reading some of that and we were just like, we need to make a podcast out of this. And that's what this podcast is. Okay. So I'm going to read the post and it says, remove sex from relationships and you will discover that a lot of people have nothing to offer. So that's the post. Now, we want to talk about why it is important for us to break this down on so many levels, okay? So, Russell, let's start with why is it important for us to discuss sex, sacred energy exchange?
Well, first of all, let's just touch on that sex, S.E.X, sacred energy exchange. Um, you could look at this two ways, right? You could look at it purely from a physical standpoint, where two people come together and using their sexual organs for pleasure or what have you, right? Or to consummate a relationship. But on a deeper end of it, this particular act is used to bring forth life. It can transmute like whole other dimensions. It's deep. Like if you're making love in this act, you can actually bring forth not only a life, but you could bring forth the things of your wildest imagination, your dream, like businesses, products, like all kind of things. So we'll touch on some of this to make a little bit more sense. But it's a lot deeper than just pure physical lust or just a physical act.
Yeah, and I just want to add, so sacred energy exchange, like he said, like what is the energy that you are exchanging during this most intimate exchange? Okay, so what energy? Is it love? Is it lust? Is it guilt? Is it shame? Is it possessiveness? Is it obsession? What energy are you exchanging during this very intimate time? Okay, so keep that in mind. I also want to mention that your sexual energy is life force energy. All right, and every person that you have ever intimately or sexually been with, you have intertwined your energy with them. Okay, every single person. So you could be walking around right now with distorted sexual energy from people that you were with back in your college days. If you have not learned how to clear that, all right? Sexual energy exchange. And I'm going to repeat that a lot because I really want that to lodge in the subconscious mind.
Right. And let me just add this while you're
Yeah.
saying that, people hear of STD, but you have these sexually transmitted diseases, but you also have spiritually transmitted diseases. To piggyback off of what she was saying, that people carry around in their energy centers in their body. And it could lead to different illnesses or, just different things that we go through that we pay no attention to. But pretty much, you pretty much have had sex with all the partners that that person has had sex with. But
Yep.
there's a way to work around it, and we'll touch on that as well.
Yeah, and there's ways to clear your sexual energy and the energetic fields. It has a lot to do with your sacral chakra. That's the large energy center. But we'll come back to that. I'll talk about why we're talking about this today, okay? Because that's important. We like to talk about problems, but we like to bring solutions. That's how we approach everything. So, from a relational community, family, nation. Why is this important?
Well, I think that sex plays a major part in a lot of relationships. Some people put more emphasis on it than some of the other things that I feel are more important, like some of the more mental, spiritual aspects of a relationship. Uh, Once again, like in this 3D reality that we currently live in, that rapidly we're moving out of, people are purely physical, and especially when it comes to men, right? Being more left brain. If they're frustrated, they want to get physical, and fight. If they love a woman or whatever, they feel they want to express it through making love. But as we evolve, as we become wiser, it's like you want to be able to be more intimate, because if you're gonna have long lasting relationships, there's going to be a period where intimacy is going to be a major part, and man has to be able to express himself outside of that physical aspect, outside of like fighting and the whole fight or flight mechanism, and also using money, using tangible things. You're going to have to use intangible things.
Hmm.
If you study some of those ancient great societies, then that's where they were inspired to write poetry and create music, and be able to understand the nature of their woman, and the woman being able to understand the nature of their man. Like, for example, I'll touch on one thing. Janie wrote an amazing article before, and it's on her website, where she talked about the different cycles of the woman. Like when you talk about the menstrual cycle, right? You're talking about a moon astral cycle, the menstrual cycle, right? The moon goes around Earth every 28 days approximately. And the woman's cycle is based upon that same lunar cycle, right? 28 days. And the woman during that 28-day period, just like we see in a 365 day year cycle, we see different seasons, right? We see summer, we see winter, we see fall, we see spring. The woman within that 28-day period goes through a similar cycle. There's a part of that 28-day cycle where she's very playful and she wants to be extremely intimate and things of that nature. But if the man doesn't understand and study his woman and understand the nature of a woman, he would miss it, right? And then there's another period where she's very introspective, like, when her cycle's about to come on, and men deem that as she's being a little, I'm not going to say that word, but she's a little
Hmm.
edgy, let's say that, right? But it's because of her nature and what's happening with her body on a chemical level, right? But if we understand that, we would protect it and nurture it and know how to give her space and know how to protect her so that she can go through this period. And it's not always a bad thing. That's when they come up with some of the most amazing ideas that they could ever come up with. So once again, it's just understanding the nature of being more intimate than being more physical when it comes to, say, just sex, that sacred
Hmm.
energy exchange.
Yeah. That's true. Like you definitely have to understand your partner. I just want to make sure we understand that in order for us to build strong communities and strong nations, we need strong families. And the families start with relationships between a man and a woman, okay? Because that is how we procreate life. All right, and continue our lineage is through a man and a woman. Okay, that's the co-creative power. That's just the way it is. So I think it's so important that we discuss this because men and women really misunderstand each other, and we have misunderstood each other for a long time. And we just want to shed some light on it because I see it every day in social media, uh is just interesting when you observe conversations and how men and women are eons apart. And it is, we have to start talking about this stuff if we're going to build strong families, strong communities, and strong nations. It has to start with us. So that's that. So we kind of define sacral energy exchange, all right? Not sacral, sacred energy exchange. I'm going to talk a little bit about the sacral chakra. Okay, I want everybody to understand that that is it, where it's located in your body. And again, don't take our word on this. Do your own research. If this resonate with you, awesome. If it doesn't, come back when it does. That's totally okay. This is about gaining knowledge so that we could all start to put this action into our lives so that we could build better lives. All right, so the sacral chakra, all right, it is located between the navel, below the navel, so it's really the perineum area, and this is where your sacral energy, I'm sorry, your sexual energy is, all right, in the sacral chakra. All right, so it is about creative expression, it's about sexual intimacy, and it's about your intuition, it's about coming together in intimacy as well. Now, you want to assess your own sacral chakra to know if it's blocked or if it's overactive. All right. And that plays a big part in your sexual energy. All right. With someone else. So I just wanted to throw that in really quick. Now, let's talk about why is sex an issue or can become problematic in relationships.
Well, we were listening to something very interesting this morning where this brother was just breaking down from more of a physical standpoint because it never touched on anything spiritual. And he was just talking about the compatibility factor between men and women. And he was saying how important it is to understand the body count of one another, which I didn't fully agree upon it, but I understood what he was trying to convey. He was just stating that he sees like a lot of men who, after being married 3 or 4 years, have started to complain that, they weren't getting enough sex, or what have you. And he was just breaking down that like most men who live in larger cities, by the time they're like 26 years old, they have this very high body count. And then when they start to settle down, they may look for, say, the good girl, you know. And they're looking for the good girl that has a low body count. And, they want to marry the girl with the good girl with the low body count. And then they may find out that, hey, she had a low body count because she's just not sexual, or she's a prude or what have you. And now they want to go back, and get that girl with the high body count and cheat on her with her. So, and then, they're breaking up relationships as a result of something that's being looked at from a pure physical standpoint.
Yeah, let's break that down. Let's break that down. I think this is good. So my personal opinion is that sexual energy exchange is about vibration. You have to be a vibrational match, all right? Because if one person, like Russell was saying, is purely physical, and that's all that person is doing is increasing his body count. If he come across a woman who is not in her lower chakra, which is the sacral chakra, she's in her higher chakras, they're not going to be a vibrational match. It is just not. So I think sexual energy also has to be a vibrational match. We talk about energy and vibrations and, walking into the room and feeling the energy. That's sexual energy as well. It has to be a vibrational match. Um, I like to just, and I'm speaking purely from a woman, okay? You have to understand the nature of a woman as a man, all right? A lot of women don't even understand their own nature. And I'm saying that because a lot of women are on birth control, they're on other hormonal replacements, and all of these affect your body chemically. So when you're natural, you're not on any birth control, and I'm not, I'm completely natural. that you don't understand the ebbs and flow of your body. And this happens every month. All right. So until the woman understands her natural flow, she can't teach her man to understand her natural flow. So she needs to know her peaks and valleys. I'm high, I'm low. My cycle's coming on. I'm premenstrual. My cycle is on. All right. Now I'm coming off my cycle. You got to know that. You got to know when you're ovulating. You got to know when you're fertile. You got to know all of those things about your own body. And if you have been on birth control for a long time, it could take a long time for your body to get in its own natural swing of ebb and flow. So he mentioned an article earlier that I did write, and it is on my website, and it's called uh the Sacred Womb, or Bringing Back the Sacred Womb. I can't even remember the name of the article, but it talks about the cycles that women go through. And I like to talk about that is because we are creative force. We can create new life in our wombs, right? So we are as close to nature as it gets. So we need to understand that about ourselves as women so we could teach our men that. And I'm sorry, men, you can watch your wife, you could observe her all you want. You will never know what it's like to be in the body of a woman. You will never experience the ebbs and flow, the ups and downs of emotions of a woman. I'm sorry, you won't. But we could teach you, you could learn from us, and you could understand it, and you could also benefit from it if you get it. All right. So I wanted to
Facts.
touch on that. I really want to touch on that.
Facts. Yeah. And also, from a male perspective, you know, if you really research like the difference between just having lustful sex and being more intimate and understanding really how to have sex right, you'll understand that you probably want to work on retaining your seminal fluid. So do research on semen retention, because as a male, it's like going out there just increasing your body count, especially as you age. It will put you in the grave early. And it's a fact, because that same fluid is the same fluid that goes from your brain down your spine back
Back
up.
up. Yep.
And if you really know how to control it and to make love properly, you can create the most magical experiences ever. Like,
Yeah.
so, without going in, that's a whole podcast by
Yeah.
itself.
And
But
before you leave that, you could heal each other. You could create the life that you want. Again, sacred energy exchange is not just about, being selfish and of the flesh. You could create things that your whole family can benefit from. Definitely you could revitalize yourselves. And I want you all to understand our bodies are chemical factories. So when you are operating in love, all right, sacred energy exchange. When that energy that you're exchanging is love, unconditional love, and you're truly vulnerable and open to your partner, you guys are creating energy that is beyond what I could really even explain in this podcast.
that's a fact.
Yeah, but when you're in love, you are producing oxytocin. That is a hormone. It is our love hormone, and it is healing. All right. When you get an oxytocin surge, the blood vessels dilate and widen, and you get all of this oxytocin rushing all over your body. So your cells are healing. That's why you could look at people who are in love and be like, man, y'all glowing. But it's true. It is chemical. It is truly chemical, and it's loving. And And for the women, I want you to think if you've ever had a baby out there, and you're cuddling with your baby and your breasts are full and your body is full of these hormones, that is love. That is your body is fertile. Your body is ready to produce something. And if you're not no longer wanting to produce babies, you can produce other things. There's other things that you and your partner could come together in intention
Manifest.
and manifest. That's the other thing. Russell talked about semen retention and how you could retain that energy and manifest, do other things by transmuting that energy into a lot of things. So
Yeah, and not releasing it and allow it to go back into the body to heal the body, right?
and
And
women can do the same.
and if you research it, you'll find out a man could only release so many gallons within a lifetime, and then it starts to kill him.
Hmm.
So you see some men who are oversexed who start to age, they prematurely age and they pass, not realizing that a lot of it is from over ejaculation. And this is scientific fact, so don't take my word. Go out, do your research. Like they say, chew the meat, spit out the bones. So
Yeah. So, what's this important, like, for us to start seeing how we view our sexual energy exchange with people?
right. So we have to really view it as sacred instead of as something just to play with, right? Like I mentioned earlier, we were having a conversation how like I really feel for this younger generation of men because porn is too readily available with smartphones and on the internet these days. When we were kids, it was like you pretty much had to go somewhere and buy a VHS tape or something like that. But that is not intimacy and that is not love making. It is purely animalistic in it. And I think if they're learning how to have sex from watching that, is destructive.
Yeah.
It's very destructive. And I could think of some of the conversations like me and some of the brothers had growing up when we were in our teenage years, just lying on our man, like saying like how much sex we've had and how many orgasms, things of that nature. To look back at it now, with a certain level of maturity, you understand how destructive that it is. I understand, the exploration of not just young men, but young women during
Mhm.
that time period. But we as men need to reach back to this younger generation to teach them how to be more responsible when it comes to sex and also in the maintenance of our women.
Yeah. And this is something else that I was thinking about. You know, it has, sex is powerful. It is. And if it wasn't, it wouldn't be as hidden in some religions as it is. All right. So I don't want people to fall for the trap. All right. Some religions hid it, and then now it's hypersexualized. Everything's hypersexualized. So think about that. Think about, why is it so hypersexualized? And then why was it hidden?
Right. You can even look at something when it comes to the Catholic Church, the issue that they're having with a lot of these priests touching little kids because they taught them to refrain altogether from sex. So when I say semen retention, I'm not saying to totally refrain. I'm saying not to ejaculate. So
Yeah.
ejaculate. One second, because what happens is nature will take its course. Because over a period of time, if even if you're not having sex as a man, eventually you're going to have a wet dream or whatever, because your body's going to react to try to release that energy. So in cultures where they tell people to refrain from it, what ends up happening is that energy gets transmuted into something else that can be ugly, such as molesting children.
Yep. Rape and things like that. And think, all energy has to be balanced. All right. So again, it can't be overactive where you can't control your urges, you can't control yourself. Like Russell said, is really about understanding it and appreciating it and learning how to use it and doing it right. Like it really is, a practice to this. And if you do it right, it's your creative power. It is your life force energy. You could use it to do whatever you want. But again, it's just something to think about just for you to explore more. It was hidden in religion and then now it's hypersexualized, and I think if the lines can be blurred and trick people into not knowing the power of this very sacred energy that we all have, why not trick everybody and keep people in a low energy in their lower chakra down there? You get what I'm saying?
Big time.
Yeah.
And that's the whole several things here, like the whole Trinity, right? In the ancient world, the Trinity was man, woman, and child, because that was the circle of life that perpetuated the ongoing
And
nature of
is
life.
still the circle of life.
Right. And that's what the movie Lion King, if you really watch it, is based upon ancient principle, right? If you go back into, say, the ancient Egyptian culture with Isis, Osiris, and Horus, the same story. Same thing with Lion King. Once again, um, we really need to, and even if you look at the last books of the Bible where it talks about Yeshua and Mary Magdalene, that goes super deep, and it ties into the same type of energy.
Yep.
That's another thing that they don't want to mention, the intimacy between them. The Bible, one of the books that they do mention that, like, Jesus used to always kiss her on the lips, and the other prophets were jealous. They felt that he loved her more than them. And but if you read some of the last books, they explain it in detail. So
Yeah. So we're gonna wrap it up. We really wanted to talk about that, and again, it was inspired by a post that's on Russell's social media about remove sex from relationships, and you will discover that a lot of people have nothing to offer. So, I hope we gave you guys some good jewels and gems to research on your own. But if you could really understand this sacred energy exchange, it's powerful. And I will tell you that if you feel like you are walking around with some distorted sexual energy, there's ways to cleanse your energy. All right. Just do some research, you'll find some ways. And honestly, any woman who is deciding to become intimate with a man, take it to that next level. And when I say next level, because people are doing different things, and we're not here to say you should be doing things one way or the other. We're talking about a very high level, intimate relationship, one that, can build families and communities together. If you could really understand the energy. But if you are a woman and you're ready to take that on, there's ways that you could also help your man clear his energy, because we all have been involved in relationships and other people perhaps before you met person that you're ready to take to that next level. And when I mean next level, I'm saying, hey, you could sit with your partner in an intimate setting and decide we're about to manifest on XYZ. And that's
right.
a different level of sexual energy exchange.
And it's another level of nakedness, like that open communication and just being real. Because without communication, you really just playing.
That's the level that's going to renew your cells and heal you at the cellular level and give you vitality, is that type of level. So, all right, guys, that's all we had. Did you have anything else, Russell?
No, we could talk about this for about 24 hours straight now.
Yeah, let us know what you think. Leave us some comments. Again, we appreciate you guys. This has been another episode of Matters of the Heart and Soul podcast. I'm Janie, and this is Russell. And remember, guys, this podcast is inspired by love, relationships, spirituality, justice, culture, family, children, finances, freedom, personal growth, energy and vibrations, universal principles, health, education, and all things of the heart and soul. We appreciate you guys, and we'll catch you at the next episode. Until then,
All right.
take care.
Peace.